Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm also glad that you are here with me tonight. Because today I want to read you something from this book. The Wild Card. This is a book about tarots. Do you like tarots? Well, even if you don't like tarots, I'm going to read you something today that it's about secrets of tarots. Secrets of the tarots is chapter 2. So, but I'm going to skip the introduction and I'll just go to the secrets of the tarot. Yes, this book is about all the cards of the tarots. So it explains all the cards, but we just go and check the chapter with the secrets of the tarot. Secrets of the tarot. So are you ready? Are you comfortable? You have to be comfortable, you know? Perfect. So let's start. What do you think? Huh? So, chapter 2, Secrets of the Tarot. One of the things that we love about the tarot is that it's full of surprises. No matter how long you practice it, there is always more to learn, more stories to discover, and more ways to interpret cards. It's a game with no hand, a conversation that never gets stale. It's a practice that can't easily be pigeonholed. It resists definition, and different people use it in different ways. This is wonderful, but it does make it hard to learn how to use the cards, what their limits might be, and what an ethical practice of the tarot might look like. So before we introduce you to the cards themselves, we wanted to share the answer to the questions we are most commonly asked about the tarot, and the question that we wish someone had answered us when we first started out. First question: can I predict the future with the tarot? This is the question that we get asked most often, and the unhelpful answer is that to a certain extent it's a decision that you can get to make for yourself. Jen always tells querents. In case you were wondering, querent is the technical and fancy term for the subject of a tarot reading, the person for whom you are reading the cards. It means the one who seeks. So, Jen always tells querents that she won't give predictions. Fiona is more open to it depending on the situation. What we both agree on is that the reading future with the tarots isn't fortune telling in the traditional sense. This is about getting a sneak preview of what's to come. Instead, reading the future through the tarot is more psychological than supernatural. As the psychoanalyst Carl Jung said, we can predict the future when we know how the present moment evolved from the past. Quite often, whether it's in our personal lives, our work or in the science fiction, we gaze into the crystal ball and expend all our energy on trying to predict what will be changed and different and unrecognizable in the future. We forget that the future is always a product of the past, and that although some things change, plenty stay the same. There are enduring truths, needs, experiences, and trajectories. Frankly, if there weren't, nobody would find a centuries-old divination tool useful. In other words, reading the tarot to predict what will happen actually means extrapolating on what's going on now. If someone is behaving in a certain way or taking a particular approach, then literally thousands of years worth of similar stories can give you a fairly accurate idea of what might happen next, or what they might do to change course. Broken down and stripped of its fortune teller connotation, a good tarot reading is a way of re-examining the present, narrating the past, and discussing the future. The tarot reader isn't in control, nor is the deck, is the querent is. The second question is, will the tarot tell me what to do? It would be wonderful, not to mention convenient, if a deck of cards could reveal a hidden truth, locate future partners, perhaps do a little light communication with the dad, and furnish you with next week's winning lottery number. I wish. When you are dodging the arrows of fortune, whatever that matters of the heart or the general anxiety of what you should be doing with your life, there could be nothing more reassuring than a sign from the universe that your path is the right one. It would be nice to have confirmation that whatever struggle you're facing, whatever that's going on, your 100th bar date, deciding whatever to change job, or figuring out why things don't seem to happen for you in the way they happen for others, has some greater purpose, because dear God, it had better. Sadly, the tarot doesn't deal in straight answers. In fact, mostly it answers questions with questions. Sometimes it even answers questions with riddles. Thanks, tarot. But it also doesn't not give you solution. What we mean by that is that the tarot is not a passive exercise, it's an active one. It shows you ways that you might think about things differently. It might offer up a suggestion for how to approach a problem. It might help you to reflect on what you have been doing that isn't working for you. It might ask you to confront something that's been troubling you, but that you have been sticking your head in the sand about. It might say something deeply inconvenient to hear, or it might help you feel more confident in following your instinct. If you are expecting detailed instruction on what to do with your life, you are going to be disappointed. The cards are symbols, non-signposts, and let's be honest, you have almost certainly got enough people, publication, and unseen forces trying to influence your decisions. But if you're looking for new perspectives and prompts that will help you reflect on your actions, beliefs, and behaviors, you have come to the right pack of cards. Question number 3. Can I peer into someone else's life with them? Read for yourself, read for others, read for pairs of people about their relationship with one another if you like. Pull a card to help you understand your feelings about other person, even if it's not seen them in years. Or pull 10 cards to help you pick apart your feelings about 10 other people. The key thing here is your feelings. Reading tarot cards for somebody who isn't there to have a conversation with you is a bit odd and, to be honest, unlikely to offer you much in the way of useful insight. It won't tell you anything about their perspective. It's just be an exercise in projection, which is never a healthy thing to do. In short, there is an eccentric printed tarot code of ethics, but if there were, you would say, no, you should not do that. Question number 4. Aren't tarot readers just watching people's facial expression and then responding to them? The answer to this is not no, and there is a very good reason why. A lot of complaints you'll hear about the tarot, or indeed any type of divination or psychic work, focus on the idea that their practitioners are people who are just really good at analyzing their client's body language and responses to question and statement. The truth is they probably are good at it, but I would argue that there is another way of looking at it. The tarot can be a way of offering something that most people don't actually experience often in day-to-day life. Active and supportive listening. If I'm reading your tarot, then you can rest assured that I'm listening very carefully to anything you say, and I'm tuning to your tone, inflection, and all of your subtle non-verbal cues, because I should be. A tarot reader is not about a tarot reader. A tarot reading is not about a tarot reader. It's not a chance to show out or prove how clever and magical you are. It's an opportunity to open up a dialogue. Something between a reader and a querent, and sometimes just between the querent and themselves. And if as a reader you are not listening and watching carefully to see how your querent is feeling and what might be coming up for them, and if you are not responding with kindness and care and empathy, then I'm afraid you are doing it wrong. Nobody needs to be told that their new relationship is destined. I don't know how to say this word. Destined to fail because a card says so. It's not helpful and it's not true. Nor do they need to be sold a future to make them feel better. You should talk to your querent about what a card means and ask them what comes up for them, particularly if it's a difficult card. Not because you need to prove that the tarot works, but because they deserve to have an experience that's helpful rather than depressing and disempowering. Never be ashamed of listening closely. Question number 5. What do I actually need to know to read the tarot? There are 3 things you really need to know about in order to dabble in the tarot with confidence. Firstly, you need to have a working knowledge of what the cards mean. This is without question the hardest part of learning to read the tarots. But if you really want to enjoy reading, you'll just have to take the plunge and start committing those core meanings to memory. Do doing so is the difference between reading a newspaper in a foreign language and reading a newspaper in a foreign language, but painstakingly looking up every single word in a dictionary. Fortunately for us all, the tarot is famously an illustrated deck of cards, so you have always got a picture to jog your memory with each one. Secondly, you need to be able to see how the context of a reading influences which of a card's many subtle shades of meaning is coming to the fore. Once you have got a good sense of the card's basic symbolism, you can start to play with spreads of multiple cards. Spreads are patterns in which each position represents something. For example, a card to symbolize your current situation and a card to symbolize a challenge you face. This is where the depth and complexity of tarot symbolism really comes to its own. You got to look at each one and explore its meaning through the lens of its position and in the pattern. Your job is literally to read, to look at the way the cards have fallen and see what kind of story it tells. This is an art rather than a science, an art that relies on intuition and creativity. Finally, you need to imagine how the cards interact with one another. Odd as this might sound, you need to think about your tarot cards as having relationships with one another and explore what those relationships are when you see them in a spread. Some cards belong to the same family, others are sworn enemies. Some share a very similar vibe expressed at different volumes. Others are stark contrasts. Cards can have multiplier effects or cancel one another out. As you begin to become more familiar with the deck, those relationships will gradually come into sharper focus. Question number 6. Are the cards I should be afraid? No, are there cards I should be afraid of? I once gave a 3-card reading to an acquaintance of mine whose gloomy outlook on life was basically a personal brand. I am probably going to get all of the terrible cards, she said, with a characteristic pessimism, before pulling Death, the Tower, and the Ten of Swords, which are by most people's standards the terrible cards. But she's absolutely fine. In fact, she thought it was hilarious. The moral of this story and the short answer to the question is that while some of the cards have grim reputation or speak to difficulty truth, not one of them can hurt you. The long answer lies in the regions of the cards. The thing to remember about the tarot is that it's been around since at least the 15th century, and the thing about the 15th century in Europe is that it was, by all accounts, quite different to the modern day world. Religion was a very big deal for everyone, for example, and death felt rather more immediate. Swords and other melee weapons were considered acceptable element of daytime attire for some parts of the population. All of which is to say, the basic visual symbolism of the tarot is rooted in the quite different culture and norms to our own, and should not always be judged by our own modern standards. There are some cards that look pretty alarming. The Grim Reaper riding a horse over a field of the dead, a man lying face down with 10, yes, 10 swords in his back, a portrait of Satan. What is true of all these images is that they are and always have been visual metaphors. It's just that they are not familiar ones for people who live in a world of mobile phones and air travel and medical science. This is one reason why so many artists and designers reinterpret the tarot through a modern lens. Some cards might seem better or worse on their surface, but in reality every single one has the capacity to speak to both good times and difficult times. I can promise that they won't sometimes prompt a reflection on hurts, fears and traumas, but what I can say with absolute certainty is that not a single one of them is warning of terrible things to come, and none of them should be feared. Question number 7. What do I do if a card is upside down in a reading? Some people read reverses in which the orientation of the card determines whatever you read, a card's positive or negative aspects. And some people don't. Neither of us reads reverses because it feels too perspective and too limiting. Every card offers both gifts and challenges, a light side and a shadow side, and you should always consider both elements of its meaning when finding your interpretation. Sometimes it's extremely obvious which way the card is leaning. At other times, the position of the card in the spread and the context of the reading should be enough to help you decide which meaning has the upper hand. For example, if you came across the Ace of Cups in a spread which speaks to emotional and creative potential, there are two broad sides to the reading. One is positive. It's about having a huge amount to offer and being ready to put yourself out in the world. The other is a little more pessimistic. It speaks to times when you might be pouring your heart into a relationship or a project which isn't going anywhere and might even be damaging or exhausting you. A tarot practitioner who reads reverses would only consider the second set of meaning in the Ace of Cups appeared upside down in a spread, whereas we should advise you to make your interpretation based on the context. If the ace is appearing for your querent as a card of challenge, for example, that's the time when it's most likely to be useful to delve into its shadow meaning, not when you have just shuffled in such a way that it comes out upside down. Occasionally, you won't have an immediate sense of which side of the card is dominant today, and there are some cards that seem to flip between their two sides more easily than others. When that happens, the best thing to do is to remain open. Feel out the different angles and see what resonates. The tarot is a bit like a Rorschach test. I have no idea what is this. If you are what this is. If you are seeing something in the ink blot, it's probably because it's something that subconsciously you know you need to express. In the same way, if a querent reacts strongly to one aspect of a card, it probably means it brought up something that they need to pay attention to. Question number 8. Is being a tarot broad aspect of being alive. Conversations around mental health are uncommon. This is one of the Tarot's greatest consolations. Readings create space for these emotions. The ritual of reading or actively listening to yourself or truly connecting with another is a valuable one. It can feel therapeutic. It can be a way of practicing mindfulness and grounding yourself. And for some people, it's a good way of checking in with their mental health. But no, tarot readers are not therapists, nor should they be seen as a replacement for professional care. And I say this as someone who both reads the tarot and has a long-term therapist and has discussed the relationship between the two. On a practical level, this does have some implication for how you use the cards. If you are reading for other people, especially if those people are strangers, there is a scenario for which you should be prepared. Tarot readings can bring up a lot of difficult emotions. Sometimes a person might ask you for a reading knowing full well what they are processing. That they are processing something difficult and hoping that the tarot might help them to make sense of it. And sometimes a person might come for a reading for a bit of fun and surprise themselves with the depth and intensity of feeling that it provokes in them. If you read it for other people, you will at some point or another experience someone, a friend, a colleague, or stranger, bursting into tears. This can be quite unnerving, and it's likely to be even more unnerving for the person doing the crying, which is why the best thing you can possibly do when it happens is to be a human being who is witnessing another human being's sadness. Ask them if they are alright, if they need a hug or a cup of tea, or if there is anything they need to talk about. Be a friend, even if you don't know them, and even if only for 10 minutes. You might never know, or might only find out years later, how much of a difference your kindness made. Question number 9. How do I know if I'm doing it right? There is one surefire way to know if you're doing tarot right, and that's whether or not it's a useful or enjoyable experience for you and for the person whose cards you are reading, which is possibly also you. If someone is hating every moment of the experience, then maybe it's time to reevaluate the approach. But if it's fun or interesting or thought-provoking, then it doesn't matter whether you are a seasoned tarot reader with years of experience or a rocky dabbler with a rudimentary understanding of the cards. If it's working for you, then it's working. And when it's not working, it's usually pretty obvious. My first professional reading was one such occasion. The tarot reader sat me down and with a little preamble began. This has been an especially trying time for you, and I'm afraid that it isn't going to get easier. She went on at length, unstoppable, even when I told her that there wasn't a great deal of drama in my life at that time. I just felt a little directionless. I was in my 20s and everything in life felt precarious because it was. Was she confusing my past with my present? She was unrelating. No, I was about to encounter the lowest point in my life and should be prepared for trouble ahead. Lovely. also, as it turned out, completely incorrect. The person who read for me that day was trying to tell me a story about my life and place me at the center of it. It's just that she went about it in the wrong way and ended up disempowering me. That experience was one of the many that shaped how I began to use the tarot, not as a magic trick, but as a navigation tool, a map that shows the routes taken by people born long before us and where those paths led them. I practice with the principle that just because you see it in a tarot reading doesn't mean you have to say it. Ask questions rather than making assumptions. It's far better to lean into the subjectivity. Let the cards act as prompts rather than prescriptions, and worry less about being right and more about allowing enough space for this full story to unfold. Last question number 10. It's not a question, it's I have more questions. Don't we all? We are about to dive into the structure of the deck and most importantly the meaning of each of the cards. But never fear, at the end of the book we return to some more practical guidance on learning and reading the tarot, as well as a list of resources to help you advance your practice. And here we finish the secrets of tarots. I have to say that it was quite interesting, no? It was well explained. I do like doing tarots. I just do it for fun, nothing so serious, because it helps you thinking and seeing things from a different point of view. Maybe for a problem that you have, no? You have a question and then a card starts making you feel in a way that maybe you were not thinking, no? Well, if you like the tarots, next time we can read some of the cards, the meaning of the cards. What do you think? Or maybe we can search for other nice things to see in this book that is not just the meaning of the cards. Well, I hope that you enjoy and that you are relaxed and that now you can sleep well. And I see you very soon in a new video. Very soon. If you arrive here, so you watch the whole video, make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you will get all the cutie notification when my videos come out. Also, if you like the video and you want to leave a like, that would be very appreciated and you will help my channel growing. And last but not least, please leave a comment. I love reading your comments. Okay, my sweetie. I'm sending you a lot of kisses, a lot of hugs, and see you soon. Ciao.